Hi guys, it's Ray here from Man City Fan TV. Today I want to talk about a very exciting young right back playing in France at the moment called Youcef Atal. Now, many of you will know that I used to live in France for 8 to 9 years and only moved back to Manchester last summer. So I kept some tabs on the French football scene, not in any great depth because my one main love is Manchester City. But obviously living in France, you hear about players, and I have some friends still over there, Algerian friends and French friends. And for many weeks this season, they've been mentioning a kid to me called Youcef Atal. So I thought I'd have a watch of him over the last few weeks and get a little bit more information and just to see what this kid's about. And the reason that I'm doing this transfer talk today is partly because last night I was doing a podcast with Walter Smith and Mike Long from Bolt from the Blue podcast. And we got around to talking about Kyle Walker. Now, we were, like many fans at the moment, were concerned about the form of Kyle Walker because he only had, I think was it 5 days rest between the end of the World Cup and coming into pre-season with City, and that's certainly not enough rest, not in a million miles. And the feeling is that maybe he's suffered because of that. I think if you look at Spurs, for instance, a lot of their players that went to the latter stages of the World Cup have suffered significant injuries. It's just not possible to just keep playing football, 12 months of the year. You've got to have a significant break to rest your body and to rest your mind. And I don't think Kyle Walker's had that. So we were chatting about Kyle, and he's been making a lot of mistakes. In every single game, it seems he makes one or two bad breaks. If you look at the Burnley game, yeah, I think he made 2 or 3 poor touches or passes, and there was one where he had the ball, he touched it 3 or 4 times, he didn't pass it to anybody else, he was unsure what to do, and then he ended up losing the ball, and he had to put a really dangerous diving tackle in to try and get it back, and he got a yellow card. And it's one of those things, he could have easily got a red card for such a reckless tackle, and it was caused by himself. So he's got this problem with sometimes with awareness, concentration, and knowing what to do. Going forwards, he's great. He's got so much pace to burn. His crossing isn't great, apart from that one cracking goal earlier in the season, he doesn't take too many shots, and I don't think they're going to be that great if his scoring record is anything to go by. So, as I said, we were chatting about Kyle Walker. We were concerned, and I think Walter Smith said, if he doesn't buck up his ideas or at least improve for the remainder of the season, then surely Pep will look elsewhere to fulfil that right back slot. And actually right now, my personal feeling is if Ben Mendy was fit and was taking up the left back berth, then Denis Law would be playing at right back. Because I think after coming back from injury, Denis Law has been pretty solid. And whereas in the past we might have questioned his defensive acumen or abilities, and the fact that he certainly doesn't have the same sort of pace as Kyle Walker, and his attacking intent and what he can do going forwards. If you've been watching recently, I mean, Danilo's been quite good. He's got a good shot on him, accurate shot. He had a good pop-up goal against Burnley, but he's also creating chances. I think he got 2 assists. His was the pass for Gabi Jesus for the first goal, and it was his pass, possibly a bit lucky as well, but it was his pass to David Silva that created the penalty. Maybe it was Kevin Long's fault in the main part, but Danilo does some good passing, he does some good movement, and he's pretty solid defensively. And I think, apart from possibly the first 2 games when he came back from injury, I can't really remember a major mistake from him. So, as I said, he's a solid fullback. He's been playing at left back, he's been playing at right back, no major problems. So, my feeling is as soon as Ben Mendy's back, Danilo should be playing right back, and Kyle Walker will drop to the bench, which, in all honesty, I think Walter was right. He's got to buck up his ideas, he's got to improve. Or I don't think he's out of here, but he's 28 years old. And once you start sliding, there's only going to be potentially one way at City, and that's you're going to be a second choice or out the door. I don't think he's going to be out the door personally. I don't think we're that ruthless enough so soon with him. I think obviously we're going to give him time to sort out whatever it is, whether it's he's got some physical ailments that we're unaware of, whether he's just fatigued mentally because he's had so much non-stop football. He's not really had a proper break, even though he's had he missed a few games. It's not downtime because he's still training. He's still focused on football. You know, it's not as if he's been at a beach somewhere or you know, on holiday for a couple of weeks where he's he's not been thinking about football at all. He's been on holiday. You know, like everybody, we need to wind down and take a break from time to time. And maybe that's what he needs, just 2 weeks totally away from football. In the middle of a season, it's very hard to get. You know, we need him to be playing. So I think obviously the staff and Pep and the coaches know a lot better than us. They know a lot more than us, and they know what the issues are. So maybe it'll get resolved in the summer if Carl gets a decent break. Maybe not with the Nations League. So it's very tight on football for top class professional players, and it may be that he gets very little rest over the summer, which is going to be, I think it's going to be bad for him. I think he does need that rest, regardless of how much he wants to play and contribute to City's success and England's success. I think he needs a rest. So that's how I kind of put the two things together, and I was already watching this Youcef Atal. Now, he's of Algerian descent. He's Algerian, in fact, and it's actually quite interesting to know. I mean, we've had a few Algerian players in our time, and you know, some of the us old timers remember Ali Benabia, absolutely fantastic. I think he only came to us for one season, 1 or 2 seasons. He was about 33 years old when he came, and he was fantastic, absolutely brilliant. And it was a shame that he came to us so late in his career. But if you look at Algeria have got a rich history of talented players, and partly because of their history being they were colonised by France, a lot of their players, they tend to move to France and play there. And some of them are, you know, the parents might have been Algerian, they might have moved to France and they play for France. And I can rattle off some names, and you'd actually think, blimey, if those players who play for Algeria went at their peak, Algeria would have had a pretty good team. I mean, here are some names. Zidane was Algerian. You got Karim Benzema, our very own Samir Nasri. You got Kylian Mbappe. Now, I think his mother is Algerian. Kylian Mbappe, half Algerian. I mean, he could have been playing for Algeria, but he's ended up playing for France. You've got Nabil Fekir, who's of interest to Liverpool last season and other clubs as well. You've got Benassi, who's a defender. You've got this kid at Lyon, Aouar. I think we saw him play, and Pep's really apparently quite interested in him as well, because he's a fantastic young talent. So you got all these players who played for who are of Algerian descent. Most of them have ended up playing for France. A few of them, I think Aouar is probably going to end up playing for Algeria. I think that's the way that's going. So they've got a rich history of exceptional talent. Obviously Mahrez as well. He's with us, and he's played for Algeria. So yeah, so I've been chatting to journalists, Algerian journalists, French football journalists, and a friend of mine who's a scout over in France. So I'd like to think I've got a pretty good feedback from these guys, because they're all very knowledgeable and very much into their Algerian stroke French football. Let's keep going. So what can I tell you about Youcef Atal? Well, he's 22 years old. He's a right back, and he's very, very exciting. Now, he, as my friend says, he's probably right now the second best right back in France. The best being a guy I'd never heard of, I'm sorry to say, Kenny Lala, who plays for Strasbourg. But Kenny Lala's in his late 20s, I think he's 27, so he's probably outside the profile of any player that City would be interested in. Generally, we're going for young talent with massive potential that's already developing and coming through. So, and now Youcef Atal, as I say, he's Algerian. He left Algeria a couple of years ago, 18 months ago. He went to a club in, I think, Belgium for about £500,000, went on loan, and it got converted into a final deal for about £500,000. And last summer, he moved from Belgium to France to play at Nice, which is currently managed by our very own Patrick Vieira. Now, that fee was about €3 million, I believe. That was July 2018. So he's actually only played half a season in France at a decent level. I mean, one of the top 5 leagues in Europe, possibly the weakest of the top 5, but he's there in a decent league, playing for Nice, who are probably, I think, 7th or 8th in the league at the moment, in Ligue 1. And so he came and he's played, I think, 17 or 18 games, got a couple of goals. Now, what is exciting about this kid, he's been described as a very modern fullback. He's a 2-footed fullback, obviously got both left and right feet, very, very attacking, and he's always up there supporting the attacks, helping his team out. He's got massive potential to go very, very far, but he needs a little slight tuning in his in the defensive side of his game. So that's his only, if we put forward a weakness, that's his weakness at the moment. And if you go out, and I've been watching for a few weeks now, some of bits and pieces of his games, and getting the reports from my Algerian and French journalist friends over the last few weeks, and go and watch some YouTube video of him, because he's very, very attacking, very, very exciting. It feels like he could play right wing. Honestly, he really could. He's got such fantastic feet, fast feet. He's got decent turn of pace on him. He's a fantastic dribbler from the bits and pieces that I've seen, and I've talked, as I said, I've talked to my friends, the journalists over in France, and he's pretty much a very, very exciting, potent young package going forwards. And his only issue is he's got to pick up a little bit on his defending, but he's only 22 years old, so he's still got plenty of time to develop further and fulfill that exciting, massive potential that he has. Now, right now, I think the feeling is his price has gone up from about 3 million euros to about 15 million euros. Still, it's not very, very expensive in modern terms, 15 million euros. And it's rumoured that other clubs are interested in him as well as City. I mean, Spurs apparently, amongst others. I think one of my good friends, a scout, he suggests it's too young, it's too soon for him to go to a big club. It's just too soon. He's only had 6 months in France, despite his immense potential that he's actually fulfilling at the moment. He feels it's too soon. He probably needs another season at a bigger club before he moves on to an even bigger stage. And my feeling is, if he was to move from someone like Nice to a Champions League club like Lyon, for instance, because I don't think Nice are going to get in the Champions League places in France this season. They might do, but I think he needs to make another step up for a season, and then he can come to someone like City. Now, his price will go up. I mean, if he goes, for argument's sake, if you look at Tanguy Ndombele, when he went from when he moved to Lyon, his price shot up, and last season City bid about 40 million for him. Now Lyon said no. Now you're looking at 70 million plus, and I think pretty much the same will happen with Youcef Atal. If he goes to someone like Lyon, his price will go from 15 million euros to 30 or 40 million euros. Not overnight, but within a few months, because if he continues to develop and improve, there's no way Lyon would let him go. So my worry is that in 18 months' time, he could be worth 40 or 50 million euros. So he has to be performing and playing at a more elite level for City to consider him. And City are not in that area where we're going to buy cheap players. I mean, there's no way we would have got him from Algeria, for instance, 2 years ago or 18 months ago. There's no way that would have happened. And there's probably very little chance we'd have got him from Belgium. So there's so many players out there who, you can't keep tabs on everybody, although City do try. So we're not in that. We're not there to buy players at that level. I mean, it'd be great if we can, but generally when we do, we just move them on. My worry is if we got someone like Atal now, this summer, he's not going to slot in as a first team player, and he needs to keep playing and keep developing to get better. And for the amount of money we're paying, we want a player who's going to be at least number 2 and in our squad of right backs. Now, my feeling is, as I said, he needs another year playing at another 18 months. Playing at a good level. And so, how could City structure a deal? It's very, very complicated, very, very complex and difficult to structure a deal where, for argument's sake, my ideal would be he finishes the season at Nice, he goes to a bigger club somewhere. Going to Girona is probably not my idea of moving up to a better stage. I want him to be playing Champions League football. So you'd have to go to someone like Lyon or another club in one of the better leagues who want a right back for a season. Now, who realistically is going to be happy to take somebody, 23-year-old as a right back for one season on loan, unless you've got absolutely nobody in that position? And I don't think that's realistic. I don't think it's really going to happen that someone's going to say, yeah, we were a Champions League club in the top 5 leagues in Europe, and we're going to take your right back for 12 months on loan to help develop him and help him make him a better player for you. I don't think most clubs are that short term. Maybe. I mean, all you need is one decent club that will look at it that way, and he could develop fantastically well, and he could be there ready for City in 18 months' time. As I said, I'm trying to work out how we can get a deal. Can we do an option to buy, for instance? Could he end up staying at Nice? Could we buy the kid for about 15 million, leave him at Nice for another year to develop, and then bring him in, not this summer, but next summer, summer 2020, when he'll be, I think, 23 years old? I mean, that's a possibility. So I don't know how we can structure this sort of deal, or we can have, sometimes you can think about an option to purchase. So for argument's sake, we could pay Nice a small amount of money, maybe 3 or 4 million euros, and we could have the option to buy him in 18 months' time for argument's sake, 15 million euros. We can say yes or no, and this way Nice gets some money up front, and we get a chance to watch him develop further. Because I think the worry is if you pay 15 million quid or 50 million euros for a player, loan him out for a season, and he doesn't develop, he doesn't progress, your money could be basically down the toilet. So the option to buy is a much more cost-effective idea, where you're paying 3 or 4 million quid, and you may be able to buy him in a year's time, and then you pay your 15 million then when you feel, or if you feel he's ready for you. So Youcef Atal, guys, go and watch him on YouTube. Go and get some clips of him playing in his recent games, because he looks exceptional. He looks so talented. And as I said, my friends in France are saying a lot of good things about him, and that's just not my friends. It's journalists, it's scouts. He's very, very much one to look forward to and keep tabs on, keep an eye on. He's playing for Algeria as well. He's played 6 or 7 games for them already, and definitely he's a talent for the future, and maybe a talent for Man City. Guys, if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, it would be absolutely fantastic if you could do so. Just click that red button down below that says subscribe. If you click on the bell icon, you'll be notified as soon as we put new videos out. And if you like the video, it's always nice if you can click like. See you around, Blues.